Hi, this is Peter,
Hi, this is Sandra,
and we are medievalists.net.
and today we're going to talk to you about the 8th episode of...
Game of Thrones.
Okay, we're going to start today with Theon, because he seems to still have a major role in everything.
Yeah, well, we kind of learned what Theon's old subterfuge was that basically, I guess somehow bribed the farmer to give up his children, but and have them burned to a crisp. But his plan.
He killed the farmer and his wife.
Oh, okay. I thought they were paying him off at the end, but.
No.
Oh, okay.
They were killed.
Too bad. Well, his plan anyways fails. And because his sister's not impressed, she thinks that if he stays at Winterfell, he's just going to get himself killed. Most of his men will, I think that as well, and that and beyond that, he's kind of still struggling with command.
He's horrible at commanding. I'm not going to cut him any slack for that. I mean, he runs back to his sister, trying to impress her, and she's obviously in front of all her men, gives him a, dressing down, and she's very unimpressed with his behavior because he burned a bunch of kids. He doesn't look strong. He looks like just cruel and kind of... it's just not impressive. He thinks he's impressing his men, but, burning children to a crisp doesn't exactly inspire respect.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of tries to make that point when she sends all her men away and then she's like kind to him and she's like, listen, you're my brother. Don't die out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you stay out there, you're going to die, and nobody respects you. And it's true, because the one guy giving him advice is kind of leading him astray, because he's not showing himself to be a respected, there's fearful with respect, and Theon's just grasping at, again, how many weeks in a row now, grasping at straws and looking like a complete buffoon. Every time he tries to do something that he thinks is leadership, it's just either cowardice or desperation or just blundering.
And nobody on his side even knows that it's not the Stark children that's been killed. So I don't even understand. Really, I don't understand his point of why he wanted to make this kind of trick. Like, I don't know if he was trying to impress the people at Winterfell, but obviously he knows that sooner or later the Stark children are going to show up. I don't think he's that naive to think that somehow they're going to die in the forest or something like that. I'm sure he's smart enough to know that the Stark kids are going to find their way somewhere. Oh, he thinks that they're just going to be dead and
if they've escaped, there's an idiot, 2 small kids, and Asha. If they've gone towards the wall, winter's coming, he's pretty much assuming that, the elements are going to take them.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, maybe that could explain his thinking, but beyond that, it's just not going to end well with him.
No, I don't think so either. And then we have Robb and Jaime. And so Robb is obviously not interested in the arranged marriage his family made for him with one of the Frey girls, and he's fallen in love with Lady Talisa of Volantis. And, they end up sharing some details about themselves and then have a hot, sexy makeout session.
Good for them. It was one of the couple of things that actually happened at this show. So they finally get together. They didn't take too many dates, but that's the way it goes in Game of Thrones world. He seems like a kind of a good little couple there. The kind of woman that I think Robb would like. She seems to be an intelligent woman, headstrong, a bit like his mother. So.
The other thing, too, is I think he kind of gave the old screw you to his mom, because after what he perceived her releasing Jaime and letting him escape so that she could get Arya and Sansa back, he considers it treason. So I think in Robb's mind, he was willing to go along with their arranged marriage until his mom betrayed him, and now he's like, screw you. Why should I listen to you? You completely disregarded what I said. You made me look like a fool in front of my men. I'm giving orders and my mother is circumventing me. You don't get to pick who I mate with or take as a, wife or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that was his, his.
Well, he's a king.
you.
He's a king now. He doesn't.
She totally undermined him.
Yeah, it was a weird kind of I was thinking back to the episode before this where she's almost looks like she's about to run him through, and now she's kind of released him and it's kind of somehow made a plan with Jamie, or I'm not sure what. I'm taken back to Winterfell and or back to King's Landing, and that will release my 2 daughters. That's not. After all this negotiation and stuff like that, it seemed like an incredibly rash move by her.
It is. I think it's incredibly stupid. What makes you think that Cersei is gonna make good on her word and not take Jamie back and then kill the 2 Stark girls? I mean, I would never have done that, but that's whatever. And then we have Jamie and Brienne traveling, and he's just taunting her like, you're as boring as you are ugly. And then she's coming back with, a lot of men have sneered at me, and I've kicked their asses. And it's just kind of like he keeps goading her, and he's got to go all the way back to King's Landing with her as an escort or chaperone.
Knowing this Game of Thrones, they might be making out by the end of the season, so who knows? So because they're stranger bedfellows in this.
Well, we'll see what happens, right? But I just think that their dialogue is kind of funny. Jamie's such a bastard. I enjoy his zippy one-liners. So we'll see how their journeys go. And then we have Tyrion, who is really good at what Ned Stark and Jon Arryn weren't good at. Is he's good at playing the game. And Varys makes an appearance. Varys the Spider. And, they're bracing themselves for Stannis to siege King's Landing, or besiege it, or whatever, and Tyrion's scrambling to do what he has to do, and I love the scene he has with Bronn, where he's like poring over all these military tactic books, and Bronn's like, books aren't going to help you, maybe we'll throw the books at them, and then Varys chimes in and goes, we don't have that many books. That was good. I like that.
This was like we get Tyrion's exposition. His was the exposition of the week, where he kind of says about what he wants out of life, and he tells a bit about his background and things like that, which is very common with Game of Thrones. But and I always like him, and it was kind of a good little kind of a couple of scenes he had. Beyond that, a lot of it was again filler. Nothing happened. He's just basically, they're still coming, and we're still thinking about what to do.
Well, he did have that tense scene with his sister, which was funny because I don't know about you, but I laughed because she thought she got him by the balls and outsmarted him. Haha, I have your whore, and then it's not Shay. It's like some random girl, and he played it off beautifully.
Was it that girl from Winterfell, or?
I don't think so. I think she was. And people on watching this, correct us if we're wrong. I think she's the girl. Yes, you do. I think she's the girl that was the head of the brothels. Remember when they came in and were killing all the boys?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think she's the one that Peter Baelish had that conversation with. I want you to be happy.
Oh, okay.
Because happy makes me money.
Yeah.
I think that was that girl.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure, but she looked like her to me. But what did you think of that scene?
It was actually, for the first bit of it, was a very dramatic scene, and I really thought Cersei had got the right woman until she brings her in, and then you kind of see afterwards Tyrion, runs off, and he kind of expresses his love for the girl.
Shay.
Yeah, for Shay. And it comes off as, he really does seem to care for her, which kind of surprised even me, because he was kind of even saying that, whores are rented, it's And like he's had that bravado in front of his sister, but deep down, he really actually does have that little caring spark. So
Yeah, but he had to do that because Cersei, if he didn't, talk trash like that, and she tried to call him on it, she's like, "Yeah, nice game face, but I see through you."
Yeah.
And it was so funny because she thought she had him, and he really had her, just showing that she thinks she's playing the game well, but she's not.
Yeah,
and he's got one up on his sister, and the audience knows it, but Cersei doesn't know it, and it's brilliant because you realize how crafty and careful Tyrion is. So I really enjoyed that scene, and plus anything that gives Cersei the finger is a scene that I'm gonna love because I can't stand her. But yeah, I thought that was good. And then we have Arya overhearing Tywin saying he's gonna ride out in the night with a bunch of men and try and thwart Robb, and she's trying to escape. What did you think of her?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna really miss the Arya Tywin chit chats. That was like one of my like highlights of the last few episodes, was just hearing them banter back and forth. Beyond that, I don't really care much for this plot of this guy assassinating who she picks, and now she kind of tricks him into helping her escape with her friends. I guess we get more adventures with Arya. So
did you notice what she does though to get him to help her?
Because
she has to name
a third person.
And who does she name?
Well, she names him, right?
Right. And he's like, no, you gotta unname me. She's like, well, and for a little girl, she's smart as a whip.
Yeah. And
she's like, okay, no, I'm not gonna unname you. Mm-hmm. You can kill yourself, or you can help us escape. And he helps them escape, and I thought that was awesome. Like, she's a very smart, sassy girl when you compare her to Sansa, who's just starting to learn the ways of the world and, doesn't understand anything, and Arya's so much more mature than her, even though she's younger.
Arya should have said, like, can you kill everyone in Tywin's army? Like, or you kill, so... Because he seems to have that magic touch where he can just kill anybody. So no, she opts in for like kind of like this escape, and this. I guess he's part of a shadowy group. Maybe there's others involved. I don't know, but
he's special.
Apparently, very.
And then lastly, we're gonna put this one together. We have. Jon getting captured and Ygritte, and then she saves his life and says, we're now even, Jon Snow. He finds out all his men are kind of captured, and the one guy who's remaining, who hasn't been killed, said to Jon, don't die in vain. I'm going to make it look like we're not buddy-buddy so that you can get in with them.
Yeah.
And then that way you can learn more about what they're doing, and at least one of us will be saved, which I thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. It kind of runs in with the kind of the theme, this week, like where people are on the move, right? They're like, we got, people here or there going and setting up for other places with a little bit of character development. And I thought that this was, again, a little bit of character development. You only get a couple minutes of screen time, so...
And yeah, and Dany gets very little screen time at the end. She's the mother of dragons. Ser Jorah's trying to convince her to flee to Astapor, and she refuses, saying that she's going to go in and fight the warlocks in the houses of the Undying to get her dragons back. And that's just also a very brief scene. So I'm hoping that they flesh that out next week.
Like overall, I found like this episode to be a kind of I wasn't particularly entertained with it. I kind of thought this was one where I said everyone's getting set up to, this person's going here, this person's going there, this is what's going to happen, Tywin's on the march, and it's like there was another episode, and I think I commented from season 1, which was this kind of really a setup for the last couple of episodes, which are the kind of the season finale. It's better to say like we have like a 2-hour season finale coming up. One this week, coming up, and then the following week. It seems that's how they kind of run it through.
Well, yeah, I think that, and also they have to juggle so many characters, and you have to have those sort of like, not filler episodes, but episodes where they're putting all the chess pieces in place on the board for the finale.
Mm-hmm.
Not every episode's gonna have like things, blood and guts and crazy sex and stuff, and I like, although this wasn't one of my favorite episodes, I like, it's setting things up. Mm-hmm. Even the setup episodes, I don't find them boring. They're not like but they're not like turn it off. Like it's good.
It's a necessary solid dialogue. It's a necessary part, and you have to kind of think this is basically a 10-hour movie that's going on, and that's how I kind of view it. Like this is 10 hours of programming. They really have to kind of have this kind of setup, and they can't have kind of big things happening. This is kind of what's going to happen. And we're almost entering the final, the final climax, I guess. And by the way, next week's episode is written by George R.R. Martin, so that kind of says you how much importance probably next week's show has. For
sure. But thanks for tuning in with us this week, and we look forward to seeing you for the last 2 episodes, and one starting next week. So thanks for tuning in.
Take care.
Good night.